And you know how hard it is to get signed here, especially for us, guys like us that are 5'8", 165 pounds. And I said, I don't care. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out how to get here. Like, and I kept saying that. I think they looked at me like I was crazy, but I'm going to figure this out.
Hello, all, and welcome to the Heel Turn Podcast. I'm your host, Isaiah Jackson Jr. Right beside me, Devin Lee Crimes. Devin, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good this morning. Can't complain too much.
That's good. I mean, we can't complain. We got a special guest here. The man from Baltimore, Maryland, James Ellsworth. James, how are you?
What's up, guys? I'm good. Enjoying the holidays. About yourself?
Doing good. Definitely can't complain. We want to thank you again for just being a part of the show, just joining us today.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Man, so we just want to go. We got to go all the way from the beginning. So just growing up in Maryland, how was it? What was life like growing up?
Well, I grew up in the city of Baltimore. It was it had its ups and downs. I wasn't in the best of neighborhoods growing up. I'm not complaining. I had everything I needed. I had a roof over my head, food on the table, but it was a little rough. But I mean, you learn a lot when you grow up in a rough neighborhood. You know how to, defend yourself, protect yourself, and keep your mouth shut first and foremost. But yeah, I love Baltimore. It's been my home my whole life. I live in a much more pleasant neighborhood now, but yeah, it was it's home, man. I love it. I love the Orioles. I love the Ravens, no matter how good or bad they're doing. And I love the 4 seasons we get here with the winter, fall, spring, and summer. So to me, it's a great place to live, and I'm pretty sure I'll never leave.
Oh, that's good. That's great. And especially you being in a better situation, that's even better. So, and we just really want to know, this is our favorite question. Where did your love for wrestling start?
Man, I just remember when I was a kid I didn't have cable growing up until I was like 11. But when I was much younger, like 4 or 5 years old, I remember watching wrestling in my grandparents' house and just falling in love with it right away. I remember seeing The Ultimate Warrior like in 1988, 1989, Ricky Morton on the other channel on TBS for Crocker Promotions in 1988, 1989. And those are the first 2 wrestlers I can remember, The Ultimate Warrior and Ricky Morton. Though very different, but both caught my eye. Like the Ultimate Warrior just looked like a superhero come to life out of a comic book. And Ricky Morton just kind of looked like your cool uncle that you wanted to hang out with. Yeah.
So we got how you kind of got your love for wrestling. How did your training go for you? Like when you got started in it?
And I, fresh out of high school, 4 days after graduation, signed up for Bone Breaker Wrestling Academy here in Baltimore. And I learned the ropes there, learned how to take my bumps. And then a couple of years later, I ran into Axel Rotten at a show, who also is from Baltimore, ECW original. And he really took me under his wing, mentored me, and trained me at an advanced level. And I learned so much from him. I love him. I miss him. He was a tremendous trainer. And he would bust your balls a lot, but like in wrestling, that's needed because you got to have thick skin. And I learned a lot from him, and I really appreciate, and I'm very fortunate that I got trained by him.
Nice. How did the name Jimmy Dream come about for you?
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. Like, I couldn't really think of a name. And I was like, well, my name's Jimmy, and this is my dream, so I'm going to be Jimmy Dream. And I'm chasing my dream. That I was like, that was the whole idea at first. And then I added like the pretty Jimmy Dream to it. And I acted like I was the prettiest guy in the world, which I'm obviously not. So that was the good, funny part about it. And yeah, man, when you're first starting out, you're just trying to find yourself. And that's what I was doing with that name and character, just trying to find myself.
And so we've seen you floated around the independent scene for years in the beginning. Can you tell us what that was like? Not being stuck to one promotion and just bouncing around?
Man, it's a grind. Like you're wrestling wherever you can, for whoever you can, for whatever money or lack thereof money. Like, you're just trying to just make it, man. And you're trying to be seen by somebody. And you're trying to get as many matches as you can coming up on the independents, and you're really trying. I was trying hard, and all I cared about was wrestling. From I started when I was 17 years old, like I said, fresh out of high school, and like I didn't have kids until I was, like in my at 30 years old is when my first daughter was born, and like so for 13 years on the independents, like or in life, that's all I cared about was wrestling and trying to make it and busting my butt and all that kind of stuff, sort of thing. And it's like I said, man, it's hard. It's a struggle. Your body's always hurting. You really don't have that much money because you're chasing your dream and you don't have medical insurance and you're hoping not to get hurt. And it's really, really tough. And, well, at least it was for me and it is for most people as well. But yeah, but you love every moment of it. You love the grind. You love chasing your dream. It's like chasing a pretty girl, man. Like you're chasing it. And when you finally get it, you're like, oh my God, I did it. It's really cool and fun, but it definitely has its ups and downs.
Man, and one promotion that you actually did get started in is CZW. And obviously it looks different now than it did, back when you wrestled there. Can you tell us what it was like?
Man, when I did a few shows with CZW back in the day, it was like one of, if not the number one independent wrestling promotion in the world. And it's not now for whatever reason. Hopefully, I wish them well and hope they get back on their feet. But like, man, CZW, everyone wanted to be CZW when I was coming up on the indies. And I was fortunate enough to be there for a short period of time. Even back then, it wasn't really my thing, the ultra violence and all that, to each its own. It just wasn't my thing. So I kind of shied away from it and went elsewhere. But, man, in 2006 and 7, when I was having matches there, people just would kill to be on that show. And I was very fortunate to have, one of my good buddies, Ruckus, a real good friend of mine that got me hooked up with there, and there you learn to be tough because you were getting hit hard back then. Like my whole life has been a lesson of toughness, mental and physical toughness, and that's why I'm just blessed with thick skin. And I don't have any negative things to say about my experiences there. It was a good time, but it just wasn't my cup of tea at the end of the day.
Before your first WWE match, you were a Rosebud and Adam Rose with his gang. How was that experience? Like your first taste of WWE?
Well, man, it was crazy. So I remember I had a little cheeseburger outfit on, and Adam Rose was a good dude. He's very nice to all of us. But I remember walking through the curtain, when we were doing the entrance with Adam Rose there, and just seeing the crowd for the first time from the ramp and the entranceway and all. And I remember after we got to the back and I'm sitting there with the other, enhancement talent, the extras for that day. And I was like, man, I got to get signed here somehow. Like that blew me away. Like, this is my dream. And this was like, I had a free sample that you get at the Chick-fil-A at the mall, on the red tray, I had a free sample of it. But I want the full course. I want the full meal. I want the chicken sandwich. Like I want to get signed. And I remember all the extras, a couple of them were going like, man, you know how hard it is to get signed here, especially for us, guys like us that are 5'8", 165 pounds. And I said, I don't care. Like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out how to get here. Like, and I kept saying that. I think they looked at me like I was crazy, but I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to do it. I just saw tunnel vision, man. Like, and I know people might look at me and go, yeah, right. Like, you didn't know that. No, I did. I knew I was going to get signed somehow, some way. I was too determined. I was too focused on it. I cared too much. I was grinding too hard, and I was fighting for that dream. And you if someone fights for their dream hard enough and they grind hard enough and they bust their ass hard enough, you can't stop that person. You can't. And it's just, and that there was no stopping me. I was going to somehow get there.
Oh man, I agree with that. That's great. So you finally got a taste of the full course when they had your first match with Braun Strowman on Raw. How was that experience? Finally getting, to come out there and the big stage.
So greatest day of my career. I've had a lot of great moments, but that day, when you're walking down the ramp, you're about to wrestle. It's like, again, it's like a free sample. You're like, okay, I'm getting a taste of this. They're adding free set of fries here with actually having a match, but it's still a free sample. But I went in there, cut my promo, said my line, any man with two hands has a fighting chance, which I came up with. And I was, thank God for Jimmy Jacobs for letting me say it. And, when I was doing the match, like as a performer, when you're doing good and you're doing bad. And I'm getting my ass whooped and he's hitting me hard. And again, the way I was brought up and the way I was trained in wrestling, getting hit hard and getting your butt whipped, that's just another day at the office. And I did everything correctly. It was the best match I've ever had. And I know people think like, well, the match is only a minute and a half long, and the only thing you did to the guy was punch him twice. No. Like a wrestling match, when you're telling a story, facial expressions and selling and all that stuff makes the match. And I did better facial expressions and better selling and a better promo that I've ever done in my life that day, to the point where Vince McMahon, after the match, pulled me aside and said, "You just did an outstanding job and I'm going to hire you." And I thought he was kidding. I said, "Oh, thank you." He goes, "No, I'll be in touch with you. I'm going to hire you." And this is Vince McMahon, the number one guy in wrestling history, the only guy in the history of the wrestling business that's made billions, with a B, billions of dollars off of just wrestling. He's the only guy to do it. He's the only guy that's ever going to do it. And no one can take that away from him. It's just a statistical fact that can't be argued. And this guy's telling me he's going to hire me. And I'm like, oh, my God, like, what? So, and he did. He hired me. I got a contract 6 weeks later. He was a man of his word. And like I said, I knew somehow, some way I was going to do it. I really did. It's not an ego thing or nothing. I saw red with it. I kept going, and I didn't care about, oh, you're too small, you're not good looking enough, you're not athletic enough, you're not what they want, you're not. I didn't, 1 year out the other, didn't listen to any negativity, still don't to this day. And for the number one guy in wrestling history, Vince McMahon, to go, "You did a good job, I'm going to hire you." That's all. That's everything I worked for, everything I grinded for, everything I fought for. That was it right there. That's what I worked for, and I got it. And I was there 2016, 17, and 18. Got 3 years of matches, and paydays, and traveled the world, and was very fortunate, very blessed that I got to live my dream, and I enjoyed every minute of it. And I feel like at some point, I'll do cameo appearances there, and you'll see my face again at some point. And I really have no bad things to say about WWE. They gave me my dream. They didn't have to, and they did. And it meant a lot. And it's always going to mean a lot, where I get to talk to cool people like you now, because I got to do all that cool stuff. Like it's all positive from my point of view, for sure.
Yeah, one big part. July 25th, your first match on Raw. October 11th is when you go against AJ Styles. Dean Ambrose, special guest referee. Me and my friend Devin, co-host right here, watched it in full time. Went nuts when you hit the super kick on AJ Styles. I lost it, and it looked like everybody lost it. How was that match for you? Because it wasn't a 1 minute squash match. Now it's a full-fledged full match.
Yeah, we're in there for 15 minutes. The main event of SmackDown with the WWE title on the line. Like, now I'm in a main event match for the title against the best wrestler in the world. To me, AJ Styles is the best wrestler in the world, the best in-ring performer in the world. Like, and I was so nervous because I have so much respect for him. I was so nervous, but yeah, when I hit that super kick, I heard the crowd, and I was like, man, like this. Again, it's what I worked so hard for. Like, I didn't hit the gym hard enough in my career. I didn't try to go get my teeth fixed when they were getting knocked out. I didn't put a Band-Aid on my cut when it was bleeding too much. I didn't do the things you're supposed to do fully. But what I did do is learn the craft and learn how to tell a story and learn how to work, as we call it in the business, and learn how to, like I said, grind and bust my ass. I did learn how to do all that. And when you're in that moment and you hear the crowd erupt like that, it's just, it makes it all worth it. I don't care how many times I broke my nose, how many concussions I had, how many teeth I lost. I've had a few concussions and I've lost a bunch of teeth, and I have, but it's just all worth it, man. When you hear that crowd, it's amazing. I'll never forget it. I won't. I'll never forget that.
Damn, now you're going into matches or even just going into different segments with Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, going into Carmella afterwards, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But these are some of the top people in the WWE when you walked in. So was there any type of, a regular person would be starstruck, or, we're right next to the people that they either grew up or have seen watching for a little bit? How was that feeling for you? Was it just kind of natural? Was it like a mutual just friendship when it started out?
Yeah, again, you just learn it when you come into wrestling. If you learn from somebody that's been to top places like I did from Max Run, you learn not to be starstruck. Like, I was very respectful to the people that I had a lot of respect for, like an AJ Styles. And yeah, starstruck now. Like, every time you're around Vince, I don't know if it's called starstruck, but you're like, it's a different feeling when you're around Vince McMahon. But I was excited to meet people that I hadn't met yet and get to work with them. Like, I was excited to get to work with Bray Wyatt, Dean Ambrose, Kane, like guys that I got to do matches with, or tag with or whatever. Becky Lynch, and she was real young in her career back then, but I knew she was a big star before she ever became a big star. I knew she had it. So, I was real, I enjoyed working with her. Then starstruck now, excited. Yes, very, 100%.
After that storyline with AJ and Dean, you went into the storyline with Carmella, and where the huge part of that was you helped her win the Money in the Bank. How was that, and how was the heat you got from it and everything? How was all that for you?
Oh, so much fun, man. Like, you want to get reactions from the crowd, whether it's cheers or boos. You want them to react to you. The worst thing that can happen when you walk out there is they do nothing. Which, if you watch television for WWE right now, they're doing that for a lot of the guys there, and I feel bad for them. But they never did nothing for me. They always cheered or booed, and that's when I'm a heel, I want to be booed. I don't want the people to like me. I don't want to be a cool heel. I want to be out there making them laugh, or I want to piss them off. And grabbing that Money in the Bank contract, that pissed them off, and it was great. And that's a moment that no one's ever going to forget. Every year when they have the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, everyone's going to be sitting around watching it go. You remember the first one when the dude Ellsworth grabbed it and gave it to Carmella, and that's the way she won? That's going to be remembered 20 years from now because it was the first one and I ruined it. And it's awesome. And I love that moment. Loved working with Carmella. Amazing girl, amazing person. Very talented, very, just does everything right. Always changes, always changes her outfit, always changes her hair color, always, reinvents herself. And she's amazing. I miss working with her. I do.
And after that huge moment, next year you came back and helped her beat Asuka. And was that reaction what you were looking for? The pop when you came back, was that the reaction that you were expecting?
Yeah, because it's in Chicago. They're hardcore wrestling fans, and I feel like they felt like I felt, where I had unfinished business there. It's kind of like I kind of left abruptly out of nowhere. None of us know why. So when I came back, they're like, hell yeah, he's back. I'm only gone 7 months. And it was just good because that reaction meant to me that they missed the character, they appreciated the character, and they were happy the character was back in that moment. And, I felt like they were going to react good, and they did, and reacted even better than I thought they were going to. So it was definitely top 3 moment for me.
So just looking back at your wrestling career as a whole, are you 100% satisfied, or do you still feel like there's unfinished business?
I'm 95% satisfied because I've got to, like I said, travel the world, video games, action figures, Snickers commercials, all this cool stuff I got to do. I want to at least appear a few more times before I'm 100% satisfied. I don't want to never appear again. Like that's, if I appear one more time, I think I'd be 99% satisfied. If I appeared 3 more times, I think I'd be 100% satisfied. But I went to, oh my God, James Ellsworth's in the Royal Rumble this year. Oh my God, he's back at Money in the Bank again, and he's trying the same thing he did 5 years ago. I'd love to have one more match with AJ Styles. Like I would love that. But yeah, I feel like, there's unfinished business. Maybe the Ellsworth character would be great with the 24/7 title for a few weeks. Like there's stuff to do, and there's still more to accomplish. 100% satisfied, no. 90-95% satisfied, yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't happy with what I've accomplished.
And just looking at wrestling now, because you've been wrestling over a decade plus, so just over a decade. So seeing how wrestling has transitioned from now, what is your take on the wrestling industry now?
I've actually been wrestling 20 years now, since 2002.
Yeah, see, I didn't want to make you sound old. I want to say decades.
I'm 37, brother. But I like that there's a lot of places for the wrestlers to get work. It's a shame that less people are watching wrestling than ever, and I truly believe it's because a lot of the wrestling you see on television is not believable. And I think when people watch wrestling, they don't want their intelligence insulted, and I feel like we got to get back to making it more respectful and more believable. And until then, I don't think I think people are going to continue to fall off while watching it, because less people are watching now than ever, which is a statistical fact. It sucks, but I hope more people do start watching it and it becomes more believable, and the ratings start going up instead of down. It's the right way instead of the wrong way.
And do you have any advice for people that's getting started into the industry, the wrestling business right now?
Yeah, like I said, man, find a trainer that has been to one of the big promotions, learn from them, because they obviously accomplished what you are looking to accomplish. So you gotta spend your money wisely when you're training, and you gotta train wisely and be aware of scams and stuff like that. So just find someone that's been to the top and train with them. And like Seth Rollins has a school, Team 3D has a school, Kane has a school with Tom Pritchard in Tennessee. Booker T has a school, just to name a few. QT Marshall and Cody Rhodes have a school. Sean Spears and Tyler Breeze have a school. There's so many schools around the country of people that were successful in wrestling or are successful in wrestling are training people. Go to one of those schools. That would be my advice.
Throughout this I liked your whole mindset of just I may not be this and I may not be that, but I'm gonna still at least go forward. I like that when you said tunnel vision, and that's just my takeaways. That was the biggest thing I take away from this, your mindset that you had going through this journey.
You gotta ignore the ignorance, and you gotta just keep going after a goal that you set for yourself. Anyone else's opinion on that goal that you set for yourself doesn't matter. It's you against that goal. That's what it is.
Was there ever a point in time where it got challenging to the point where you questioned your career?
I mean, no. No, like I said, it was a tunnel vision. I'm going to do this, whether people like it or not, or think I can or not. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I didn't care, man, about, like I said, I didn't ever question it. I just I'm going to do this, whether, it's hard or not. I'm going to do it. And it was hard. It was very hard. It wasn't easy. It's never going to be easy for anybody to get to WWE. But, especially a guy like me who, again, had a lot of riding against them. But you got to just keep fighting, man, for whatever the goal in life you want to accomplish. You got to keep fighting for it.
Yes, got to keep fighting for it. And James, we can't thank you enough. Like you are way cooler, 100% cooler than it was. We came in here so professional. I was nervous, I can say, but
I was nervous too.
Yeah, without you,
nothing to be nervous about here.
No, but you are really insanely humble, an awesome guy. And we can't thank you enough for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it. Take care. God bless. Stay safe. And happy holidays.